I always do this stupid wave. No, I'm not doing this wave. Okay. I'm sure a lot of people look at the Bruderhof and think, well, that's nice. They live together like that, and they seem to have everything they need, and how are they helping the rest of the world? In fact, people have even asked me on my blog. So today, I just want to take a couple minutes and talk about reaching out and connecting with other people and organizations outside of our communities, and why that's really important part of our mission. So first, a little disclaimer that the point of this video is definitely not to toot my own horn or our collective horn about the good things that the Bruderhof is doing to make the world a better place. So no horn tooting today. But at the same time, Jesus commanded us to do works of mercy. That is, giving food to the hungry, water to the thirsty, clothing the naked. I'm trying to remember some of the other ones. Giving alms to the poor, visiting the sick, those in prison. So whatever we're able to do is just a small response to that commandment. And what we found is some of the greatest reward comes from working alongside the many other people around the world who have completely devoted their entire lives to one cause or another. Those people are certainly a challenge to me and a great inspiration. As I've mentioned before in some of my other videos, I had the opportunity to volunteer with Save the Children and worked with some incredible staff over in Lesbos, Greece. So anyway, looking back in history, we have an amazing example of the first Christians. There are some really remarkable and inspiring things I learned from a book about the early church, which was written by Eberhard Arnold, who was the founder of our communal movement back in 1920. And he also studied the early Christians in great depth. And he wrote this awesome book, which you should read. In Acts 4, it says that all the believers were one in heart and mind, and no one claimed any of their own possessions was their own, but they shared everything that they had. But even more than sharing everything, they believed that everything they collectively owned belonged to the poor. Listen to this quote from the preface of the book that I just mentioned. I'm going to read it. The spirit of boundless voluntary giving was the basic feature of the movement and was more essential than the resulting communal life and the rejection of private property. That's quite a statement, that giving and reaching out was more important than living in community. The communal living was simply the fruit of that, the natural result of a spirit of boundless voluntary giving. So back to the current day where we're trying to follow this example. First, in order to free up financial resources, we try to live simply and frugally on the home front. I know I've talked about this in some of my other videos, and that has very basic hands and feet that we can all help with, like not wasting food, turning out the lights when we leave the house. Chris and I have already tried to start teaching Branson that these little things are important, to care for what we have. I can't say that we're the best at it because Branson often will like run down the hall and turn on all the lights. And then when I asked him why he was doing that, he said there was a bear in the bathroom. So gotta scare those bears. Anyway, but I'm sure he'll catch on soon. Further from home, there are several charitable organizations doing really amazing work on a global scale that we work with. One is World Vision, which works with the poor and oppressed in many countries around the world. Our elementary schools are involved with their Chosen program, which I'm not sure if you've heard about, but basically with this particular one, this program is sponsoring children in Ecuador, and so our children are able to correspond with the children there. So I don't quite get how the whole thing works, but other organizations that many of our community members, especially young people, have been deployed with in different areas of the world are Partners Relief and Development and Samaritan's Purse. Another organization we work with is Save the Children, which focuses especially on supporting children in times of crisis, like the refugee situation around the world, and also many within the the United States, which my sister has been deployed with. She went down to Texas a while ago when there was flooding, and I was deployed with Save the Children to Lesbos, Greece, which was an incredible experience that certainly changed my life. Some other organizations that we support and work with are Oxfam, Doctors Without Borders, the Anglican Alliance, and I'm sure there are many more. My dad, before he married my mom, and I think it was in 1989, so bad with years, but he volunteered with Mennonite Central Committee in Armenia after a large earthquake there. So that's on a bigger scale, but we also work side by side with local areas around each of our communities, like supporting local food banks and food pantries, visiting jails and prisons, helping out with community projects such as maintenance work in public areas like playgrounds and parks. And then there's also the one-on-one acts of visiting an elderly person in a local assisted living home. I remember as a kid, we often would go at Christmas and do carol singing, or even other times of year. One summer, I think I was in 3rd grade or 4th grade, we went to this assisted living home and we sang songs from Switzerland. And I think I sang a yodeling song. And I think I even messed up my verse, and I just remember all these elderly people just laughing. So, anyway, one funny anecdote. One way our communities have tried to reach out to young people or teenagers is Breaking the Cycle program, which was a response to the school shooting in Columbine in 1999. And basically it's teaching students in high schools about the power of forgiveness rather than violence. And I know that now they also focus a lot on suicide prevention. So Breaking the Cycle has reached hundreds of thousands of students, mostly in the US and the UK. And of course, since the beginning of the Bruderhof 100 years ago, we've been involved in religious publishing under the name Plough. A couple weeks back, some of you may have seen, I did an interview with the editor of the Plough. So that's always been a way we can connect with people who are doing good work and also help them by letting other people know about their projects. So that was definitely a little more horn tooting than I intended. But I do think that it is important for folks to know that we aren't just sitting here at the Bruderhof like all insular, and we do try to do good works for other people. And I personally, for myself, I sometimes find myself a little bit frustrated that I can't go out and do more things just because I have 2 children that are dependent on me. And then I'm reminded that actually keeping things on a prayerful heart is also very important. So I definitely do a lot of praying. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to keep asking questions, and I'll see you next time.